you wanna start a thought
Sure.
and then we can have a discussion to go through it.
So overall, this is, Dave did a lot of this with the fire stuff, and then we'll look at the big stuff as well. The example, the protective gear replacement, we're gonna reapply for that grant. So next year, 2023, we'd look at 130,000 versus the 160 we did this year. Because we'd already used that.
And ours is like half of it, right, roughly?
No, it was only, it was.
We
only
did 30,000.
30,000, so it was like, it was an 80-20 grant.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
substantial.
And then Dave was also looking, to get 35 going forward for this year if we don't get it again. Because we
Right.
still need to keep replacing.
That's with the 70.
So.
The amount that we're spending this year, does that qualify as a 20% for the 80%?
No, it would be a whole.
Yeah.
It would be a whole new application, and we would have to put in 30,000 again to apply for the same,
Maybe we shouldn't have done that.
so the same thing. Well.
But we have to buy it no matter
We
what.
have to buy some because our equipment is.
If you couldn't use it for training, right, you couldn't hook up.
Well, we can use it for training, we can't use it
Yeah.
for state level training.
Yeah, correct.
They won't let us use our bottles and they're out of.
They can't be hydrostatic. That's stuff.
Could we have, go get another copy?
Please. Yeah, but I have one with me. I didn't
I
have-
don't, I don't have one, go.
So we're saying we need 30,000.
No, it's looking like,
Well, I think the better way to do this, Bob, is to just say, what our plan is, you will see $130,000 number there. It'll be broken down between grant and town match, okay? But the idea is we're going to reapply for the protective gear program in 2023. Now, we can modify that number, but we'll put in the number that Dave feels we
Yeah.
need to.
It was to get the full kit.
It was to get everybody.
yeah, the 160 was to get everything.
Was to get,
So we spent the 30
We
already.
spent
to get some of it out.
So that's why it's just from 160 to 130.
130.
Great.
And we don't know the 90, 10,
Oh,
or 80, 20 yet. But we will have that in there. But I just wanted to let you know that we're gonna try one more year. And if we're not successful, then we will put in an set amount each year, and then just rotate through and start updating all of the equipment. Some each.
You think that 100, that, it's, well, obviously the cost of the year,
Yeah.
but we're talking in that range
Probably about 40, 50,000 a year.
for several.
That's a few years, and then we'll do the money started.
Just
We
because.
don't want to do this, we don't want to do that way. If we have to.
And then,
Just to be clear,
Yeah.
the CIP document I have is dated 10/27,
Yes,
and it's not the same as the new register.
Maybe I'm looking at.
That's 1024.
Mine says 1026. This is the one you just gave me, right? Okay, let's.
1024, maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
So
so
1024.
There you go.
it's different than the one.
Yeah, I got one that says, okay, maybe I have the wrong one.
So this should be the same.
This is not the same. Here's the one that's
No, I didn't have this, I don't see the 130. That's
No, it's not in there. I'm sorry. It is 0 right now because
Right.
we didn't put it in.
okay.
So see the 130. Yeah. So she has the, yes.
and then the next one would be the cruisers. So the only thing we'd have to do with that is up the amount. Cruiser one, we're looking at replacing that this year, but $48,000 isn't gonna come in. So I would recommend. Just to make sure it's all covered, is 20,000 in each year versus 16.
as opposed to buying it outright.
Well, no, I think that's what we're
And
doing.
then there's another question, so the way I'll put this in, if it's all right with you, is we'll put in the lease amount per year for a 3-year lease, because that is the interest, will initiate an interest. And then we can decide whether or not we want to put in the single lump sum amount, or whether we want to do it.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I'm just thinking of, what do we need to get in before the 800-pound elephant kicks in?
Well, and that's, we need to
Right.
get in everything between
What we're talking
23 and
about.
27.
It's 27, okay, that which is
27
5
is the first
year of the
the
bond,
repayment
of
of
the bond,
clean water or something.
right?
So that would be, so it'd be a recommendation of the second cruiser at 16.5. I'm not sure how it got pushed out to 2026, but our second cruiser, we're not gonna, we can't have an 8-year-old cruiser. We have to triple the maintenance budget for that. So that should be in line with heading forward, so. The cruiser one that we're replacing this year, we went a little too long with it. Maintenance wise. So if we try to push cruiser 2 was a year after cruiser 1 before, so if we then now try to go 3 more years on a car. That would stop and go nonstop on it. So that's more of it, should be in the 24 to 27. I don't know how it will push that with 8 years.
Is that estimated 20,000?
Yeah, it's gonna have to go for that as well.
We don't know.
You think so?
I don't see the
Yeah.
cost of vehicles.
Well, I got one this year for 53 fully outfitted, so,
You see what, by 24,
right. It'll be one more year.
And they'll still be insured, they'll still be interest costs.
it's on, right, so that we can compare whether it's better to buy.
I mean, our leases have been 2 and 3%. They're not,
They've given us money.
probably like 5, 6.
Any, EVs, any of the EV?
No, there are no.
No. It's not it.
And then, so it'd just be upping that and then pushing the date closer on the second one. And then the fire apparatus, 2025. Dave does believe that he does want to keep engine 2 on this schedule, just based on the repair history. But he's thinking the final number is gonna be, instead of 350, it's gonna be closer to 450, 500.
This is engine 1 replacement.
No,
Engine 2, the oldest one.
Engine 2,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, engine 1's 51. That'd be engine 2.
engine 2.
But he's gonna know more once he calls E1 to find out whether it's.
How old is that now?
Engine 2 is a 1990.
And then. The ambulance, you want the schedules for 2025, you want to keep it on the same thing. And he says that the issue with. He still wants to stagger 24 and then replace end of 24 and 25 with an ambulance 10. Because if you do them both in the same year, it's gonna be a huge cost. So if you stagger the ambulance with the. Engine 2. And then the last one is the truck. 2024 will be, the truck will be already 10 years old. So. It's slated for 10 years. He thinks that if we wait until 2026, it's gonna be 12 years old, which is probably gonna, again, need to got some maintenance. And he doesn't put a number down, but there's no way if the cruiser's 53,000.
Well, we've got 70.
See, this one I had DPS pick up lease 45 for some reason. I don't know where this came from.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, oh yeah, that would be much better. Yeah, so 45. I don't know where that came from, so that, well, we're gonna have to go up to.
So we're looking
The
at,
very last line or second to last line.
Yes, pick up things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
we're looking at
Yes, pick up.
over $900,000 in vehicle replacement over the next 5 years. or at least. I assume.
Well, in public safety.
Right, in public safety, right.
Public-
Right.
And I assume we're talking about bonding with
uh,
ambulances.
Well, yeah, lease bonding would be the same.
Oh, we
Same thing, we could do a shorter term lease, but we'll have higher minimum.
So with the leases you're talking about, the lease.
Leases are
lease to
usually
own,
leased on, and they're usually 3 to 5 years if we bonded it. You know, we could potentially buy both the ambulance and the fire truck for the same year we bonded, but take it for a longer period. Generally, we get 10 to 15 years out of the ambulance, so I wouldn't want to go beyond probably 10.
What years we have those?
The current ambulance is,
I think it's 8 years.
yes.
So we just, yeah, I think 8, because we just did both.
Yeah.
I think it's 8 years old.
Do we have another one of these? Steve, do you have another one of these?
Sure.
Mine is not using that one. so- Now it's good. Well, I have my notes in myself. No, I just had a different, I printed out the wrong year.
Oh,
Okay. Well, I've got it. Printed out the wrong. I thought.
Yeah. So the bottom line is we will put in the vehicles that the department heads feel that we need to do. We'll put them in as leases, except for the fire apparatus, which we'll put in a bond issue for the replacement ambulance and fire apparatus. And we'll use 3-year leases. We'll get a representative interest cost. And then if we feel that the interest is too high, we can talk about what's the impact of buying. And we'll update all of the public safety vehicles. So, is that a good approach?
the DPW 3/4 ton pickup lease, is that 15,000 this next year, is that the last year of the lease?
That's the end.
Yeah.
And then the future one is just a placeholder. For 35. For the LSD. For- Anything for starting in 26. Jim, any other vehicles?
Yeah, well, I think not in 24, but in 25, we're gonna be. We'll look at it in 24, but definitely 25, one of the one tons will have to be replaced.
That would be 10 or 11, so it's 14.
Yeah, revisit it, obviously next year. Right now, it looks pretty good. We may have to do some work on we may have to replace the wing on it. That's in the plow, but everything right now, knock on wood, seems to be fine.
And what about the sidewalk?
The sidewalk machine, I would say we could get another few years out of it. And then we'll have to look at that,
In the back.
as long as we still have, curbs. The backhoe's good.
The back goes 2000.
Backhoe?
No, it's 3 years old.
That's new. Yeah. So,
But potentially a large ticket item is the 1 ton. Is gonna kick in roughly about the time we'll be looking at starting repaying the bond on
Or 26. The year
Maybe.
before.
a year before.
Maybe the year before.
And the way things are looking, if we did do a 3-year lease like we have, lease purchase like we have. You know, you're looking at, if I was to put in a placeholder, because it includes all of the equipment that hangs on the truck, the snow removal equipment. And the way things are right now, I would be recommending that you put a placeholder in of 50 per year,
Starting,
starting in 25,
53-year calendar year.
3.
See you later.
He's only matters. You beat him. You beat him in this.
muttering, I am like that.
In 2 weeks.
That's between him and Mike.
So in part of the discussion that we can have is, I think once we get above 4 to 5% on the lease. Interest rates, which I would almost guarantee will be above. This year, it may become a possibility to do the leases. And I don't see us, any equipment that we currently have, I don't see us needing less of it.
Some will require a lease, right? I mean, just because of the
Well, I think bonding,
bonding instead of leasing.
and extending
Okay,
the period. But you don't really want to go beyond 7 to 10 years. I don't think.
No, no, like, for long.
Equipment.
yeah, same deal, like you start getting.
So, but we can do much better on the bond, because we can put everything all together and go to the bond. We can have a vehicle and building improvements or whatever we do. While we're talking about vehicles, the bus,
Yeah, so, I've been informed that our bus is probably not gonna be, the old bus, the 2005 bus is probably not gonna be in working. I've just been given maybe a 1 or 2 year warning. So I guess the question remains on whether or not we want to replace that,
Or just live with the one bus.
or, yeah, and potential, I mean, at this point, we're relying on both buses in the summer. But we could lease, like, or rent, long-term rent, a lot of places do that, vans during the summer. So we don't necessarily have to replace it with a new bus, but
What was the cost of,
trying to remember, what was it,
it was
30,000
about,
times 3 over 3, or
no, it wasn't that much. It
No.
was a total of about 60,000.
the new one?
About 20,000.
55, yeah, so it'll probably be a bit more than that.
Yeah. The way vehicles are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be much.
So we're in.
And the other problem is gonna be lead time.
Police cruiser.
Yeah, generally the buses are okay because we use school bus. Level buses, so those are generally. Okay. I don't think we would have to leave them.
Probably not. So if we did go that route, we'd probably want to start paying it in 24, so we can get the 3, if we did it that way, if we did the lease to buy. So we'd had 3 years to buy it before 27.
Well, yeah, the question is gonna be, do we want 2 buses? or
Right.
Do we want to lease?
Yes,
Buses each summer?
well, they wouldn't be
Well, not a bus,
buses.
It would be a
Yeah.
12 pass.
So there's a whole nother part of that that should be considered, which is just the safety of a van versus the bus. So whether or not that's something we want to do. This is also something that could change. I mean, the mountain has been our transportation for our field trips for many years, but they haven't been doing that for the last few years since COVID. And then this year, excuse me, they committed to doing it and then pulled out at the last minute. So we had to, rearrange so we can't rely on them. And I've also, research Durham bus, and it's just extremely expensive to go that route, but maybe it's less expensive than buying a new bus. So, there's different ways we can approach it. I just wanted to let everyone know.
One of the other meetings I asked about the BBTS vehicles, they have like 6 or 7 that sit there that I think they lease them for the winter.
Yeah, I think they're on the rental program.
I
Yeah.
wonder if we made a deal with them that it was a yield lease on a couple of the vehicles. That they went back. Whether that would be a cheaper route, the bus is already here, it shifts over from BBTF to the rec department in the summer and back to BBTF.
We could share that.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. I mean, would that be,
Look at the
Nice vehicles.
bumper year, the bumper.
they're like the 12 passenger vans or whatever, the Sprinter van,
I don't think they're bigger than that.
like a
I
Sprinter
think
van?
they're regularly.
15 passengers.
It was like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Yeah, well, I could talk to Tori about that option. I just wanted to make everyone aware of that situation. So,
We should put something down.
We will put, the bus in here in the CIP, and then we'll have the alternative.
right, putting in operation, maybe I could
We
just.
got a couple of years.
Yeah, we got a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay,
Was the use, just, informational? Did we use the bus, you said that the mountain, was unable to provide the use. Is that part of our agreement with them on the bus for municipal service, or is that a separate,
It must be separate, yeah.
were they doing it gratis or just
It
renting
used
to
to,
us?
they used to provide us with a bus during the summer
And a driver,
and a driver for nothing.
Okay,
Then we started renting.
okay,
Then we had it stopped during COVID,
right,
and then you went to do it
yeah,
this summer.
they had committed to doing it this summer, and then I think staffing just prevented them from being able
But
to
it
follow
would,
through.
it would have been,
a rental.
And it's been, ever since I've been here, it hasn't been included, it's been a fee, and that's been 8 years. It's been between $285, I think, to $385 per bus. And we have grown out of one bus. We used to just pack all our kids into one bus and take them, but we have way too many kids for one bus now. So now we are putting the younger kids of the 2 or 3 groups to a large bus when we do it, and then the other kids into our buses. So we can carry everyone.
So does that bus require a CDL license?
No,
To determine passengers?
it's 14 passenger, yeah, 15 people. 14 is a passenger plus the driver, so 15 total in the vehicle. And so that's just made us be able to provide the, that part of camp and lots of other programs that we do, is having the bus. But we did work with one bus before, and now we've been using 2 buses, which has been great, but we've grown into those buses, so to speak, so. We also, just so I let you know, the school rents those buses all through the school year. So we actually have revenue on those buses through the school, and it's a really good deal for them because they don't have to go through Durham, which is really expensive. So and their school's small, of course, so our little buses work for them. So, there's that piece of it too. It's not just sitting all winter doing nothing.
Any other, your vehicle is the 3/4 ton, so that's
No, that's MST pickup. But yeah, 3/4 ton, but it,
water.
Yeah.
So when we talk about buildings,
Yeah,
so
that would be it.
there are 2 buildings that are in here from last year. One is $1 million for town hall, public safety and parking lots. That was a placeholder for our space needs to start addressing our space needs for this building. I don't have anything other than previous architectural and engineering that was done in 2006 and 2009. That was not for an entirely new building, that was for additions upgrades of this building. To give us enough space for public safety and the town operations.
Is that $1 million?
That's the only. That was minimum addition of one bay. And some other upgrades on the DPS side. And then improvements basically upstairs to give us, additional room office space. But it was not, it was not a set. Plan. It was an estimate. That was it. So we would need, if we were gonna try to do that in 24, I think we would need to have something for architectural or engineering work in the coming year. In order to have a real plan to take the town meeting. If we're gonna do.
That's something that. More appropriate for after we finish the wastewater treatment and we have space.
Yes, that is a consideration. I don't think we would want to put $1 million into this until we know where the plant is going to go and what the impact is going to potentially be on the town hall. However, I think we need to have it somewhere in this plan because we do need to address it as quickly as we can, because we are out of space and we are still, it's not a violation because it's not a set regulation, but we don't meet all of the real needs of public safety. Especially public safety.
Also, last winter, Mark, we had 2 slip and falls in the parking lot.
We
And
do need to do that.
I think it
You went, you know,
repaved,
It's
plowing it is,
plowing.
Not fun.
up here.
yeah. We're getting, Dale is getting some quotes on some gutter installations, he said, to avoid some of the ice that's fallen. Or water that's fallen off the roof, creating icy spots near the entrance, but out in the parking areas is pretty bad.
Even putting gutters on, you still don't have any place to put the water. Because there's no drainage.
Yeah.
I just, so I don't know what it is, what are your thoughts as far as how we approach it? What do you think we should look at?
So the ice is, I'm sorry, the ice is up where people park, so that's where it is.
Well, where slip and fall is in the parking lot for both customers and staff.
How does repaving fix that?
They'll be able to plow it,
Plowing it,
there's a lot of dips and valleys,
I got you.
yeah.
regrid, regrading, reclaim and regrid.
I think that some of these things, it's hard to have, until we know what's happening over there.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to. Address it.
Well, I permanent, yes, absolutely, as far as what are we gonna do in the really long term? If we could get an estimate on redoing the parking lot in front of the maintenance bay where the customers are, staff parking, parking, and get that into 23. And then move the 1 million out to 28, 27, 28.
We actually have this thing built by then, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, then we know what we have up
Yeah,
there.
and
that we
then we
could-
know what we have in this area and what we're gonna do with this.
Yeah,
area.
what we want to do. What we can do.
So
I think-
we need a paving estimate in 23.
Jim, please, we get a paving estimate.
That makes
for
sense.
the market. That okay, then?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to look at it, but just, my recollection is, looks fine to me, but I can't. This is the first-
Well, it looks a lot different in January and February, that's the problem. When it comes to problem.
And so we moved that back, that 1 million back to
Back to 27.
27, at least to consider it. I mean, we may be able to play with the dates a little better once we know what Bob said. Once we get a better feel for the cost and the location of this facility.
Well, and I've told all the departments, my concern is that's the year that everything is going to hit from the treatment. And that's when we will probably see a major change in the tax. And so. I don't know if they're gonna pay for anything in 2020 and beyond. It's gonna get difficult.
And none of this can be folded into the note for the treatment facility. Bit of a stretch.
It's a stretch.
I know,
It's not a stretch.
it's beyond,
beyond.
it's stretched to the breaking point.
I'm just getting new windows.
You know,
Hey, that sounds like a good solution. We can go for that this year.
we've had cats here before. and
Exterminator, okay, sorry,
it's
exterminator.
Exterminated
Got a couple
by the cat.
New window.
Just because you don't like cats doesn't mean.
No, it's not that I don't like cats, it's just cats.
Certain.
Works.
Okay,
Anyway. And then the other building is the $700,000 in 24. For dredging.
Whatever happened to the 100,000 you voted for the upper snows work to mitigate the dredging in the future?
That it received the $50,000. We budgeted 50,000 of town money for that. That's in a capital project, and that's on the.
Is that been done?
It's the engineering work by Rick Vanderpool is being done. The work has not been done on,
but none of that is going.
but none of that is involved.
Gonna keep us from having- We're still gonna have to dredge.
And we're still gonna have to dredge, it's just a matter of. How soon after this dredge do we dredge again? And how do we do this dredge? Because the areas that we used for the dredging in 2009 no longer exist. There were the wedding area, the place where the little fireplace with the fire pit.
That was.
That was the laydown area.
And they use that.
The material, and that's all we use for weddings. So I guarantee you that the answer would be no from Tyrell.
Dredging techniques change so that
Well, I don't
Limited.
know,
lay down area.
it's, I think
Offer
the
dam.
700,000 is gonna go up quite a bit if we start telling them that they have to take wet material out. Right. Jim,
When's the
Yeah.
last time we
is that
dredged?
right?
When's the last time we dredged?
Right after I read,
2000.
was it? Was it after I read?
Irene was 11.
No, it wasn't 11. We dredged a little bit in 11.
Yeah.
As a result of IE, but the big project really went down 20-25 feet. That was 2000.
And that's just more than just the money that you want.
Well, it
It
shuts
shuts
down, it
everything,
shuts
yeah.
down the resort for the entire summer. But it shuts down Corpus. Which means all of her waterfront. Activity, everything it takes all summer.
Unless you do a different technique with.
Unless you do a different technique.
Right, where you operate a dredge, a real floating dredge. With a float line and everything, and you pump it up onto land,
But even that.
that even that is.
going to affect
Yeah.
You can't do boats when you've got this. dredge.
So probably have to use the beach to work off of, right?
Well, they didn't before, but it didn't matter, the pond was good.
Right.
How do you know when we need to dredge?
Well, we don't need to ever dredge unless we
We want
want
to
it to
become
be deeper.
Like,
than-
like camping?
Camping.
Yeah.
But I mean, how do we know when we're at the point where?
Well, we're getting to that point now, especially.
I see a lot of
up by-
stuff in the, yeah.
Especially up
Very
by
swampy.
the end of
Body, I should say, whatever, yeah,
the
yeah,
eastern end of
right, corner there.
where the sediment is coming out of Snow Brook, which is how it started before. When we did it,
I mean, it's another way of saying, no, we can't wait much longer.
Not much, well, there's, yes, both because it is filling in rapidly.
Right,
Irene changed the sedimentation rate quite a bit. It's a lot faster now than it was
Hampton Pond.
before.
Yeah.
And it's right around the Hampton Pond. if we're not-
no, I understand.
Could the sediment go to the Britain property?
Yeah.
You mean-
Well, I'd say no very quickly, but I guess anything could be done, but you're talking about a mess getting it. Because you have to put it into a truck. And
Well, you couldn't do it, you'd still have to have an area, so a dewatering area.
truck, you can't move it down there to do water.
You could move it here after
You-
the water.
Right.
Potentially, yes.
And we don't have the land, to de-water it.
Well, we'll have to coordinate with Tyrell Corporation, but. I mean, don't see that as being. Tim Smith and I talked about it a couple of times, and he mentioned a floating dredge. But
Eventually it's still.
it's gotta be,
Yeah, put
put some to de-water it, or it's just gonna be cost prohibitive to move it on. We could potentially maybe break it up into separate years, but then you're missing the summer up.
And they don't do it like with a copper dam, right? We can do part of it.
Well,
and
we
move to the
did,
next.
well, when we did the 2009 full bridge,
Right.
they did,
They do
get the
do it that
water
way.
off to the side.
Right,
And they have huge pipes that went over the dam.
right, and then
And
just,
that's how the stream kept flowing through.
right,
But that was, the rest of the pond was dry.
right, okay.
Let's put it down for when I'm off the board.
When's that gonna be? He's looking at his watch, right?
Well, it's- Oh,
Well, we have it in 700K on FY 24. I mean, this is something we want to do prior to no, we cannot put it off until after
you can't put it off for 30 years. no.
well, at least the first, because only the first few years will be big, right? On the note repayment, I mean, it's not gonna be standard. Same amount every.
Well, it would be the same, wouldn't it?
It's gonna be a flat principal. on it. So
Right.
if we have a $30 million bond issue over 25 years, it's gonna be $1 million of minimum every
But the
year.
tax rate could potentially change, but not by much. I mean,
Change by 30.
It's gonna change.
yeah,
by a
it's gonna
third
stay,
and-
it's gonna stay there for the whole period. but
Yes,
that's-
it's gonna
that's
stay
okay.
there the whole period.
Right, it's not an opportunity to,
Yeah, once we start repaying that same.
all right, well, does FY 24 look like a? Or do we want to leave it there for now and then? Just kicking the can down the road. Because we're talking FY 27, right, for the bond
Yeah.
on the plant.
I Do you have, is there any other thing we should investigate in that could potentially put in there? So I just.
Need a different way of doing
I
it.
just want to do it.
Are there ever any grant opportunities that come up around dredging or?
Hydroelectric plant maybe? Over the dam,
Yeah, we should go.
and for $700,000, what's so bad about Hampton Pond?
Mosquitoes.
Yeah, well,
The fact that you can't have any boats on it.
Those, what do you call them, boats in Florida, you know, boats.
Airboats.
Hmm?
Airboats.
Airboats.
Airboats,
Oh,
yeah.
good. Yeah, yeah. I know.
I remember there used to be boats.
Yeah,
On Hampton.
really.
No, I mean,
More seriously.
It's not a very appealing decision, you know, to shut down the plant facility. Right, Brooke?
That's right, but it's not just me, that's the main concern. I think there's a lot of buy-in that you have to get. All coordinate for the same year.
Well, we'll leave it in there so we can have those discussions. But we need to very seriously during. 23, make sure that we're all on the same page. By leaving it in here, we can at least have the discussion.
I mean, other than our own gut feel, could we get somebody to tell us how much it's silting in a year? You know, to get some professional opinion of this thing. And it seems to me it's more like our own gut feel, and we need to do it.
We know how deep it was when we dredged it, and I'm sure we can find a firm to tell us how deep it is now. And that'll tell us how much
It's ledge underneath it, right? You can only get out as far as the ledge.
we got down 25 feet. In the deepest points. And we hadn't hit ledge. There were places where we hit ledge less than that.
More likely to be in clay.
Yeah, we hit a lot.
When you say 25 feet, it's not 25 feet from what the bottom was.
No, it was
25
a
feet from
total
surface of the water.
surface of the water to where we got down to. There were a couple of places that they built fish habitat, right? They put trunks of trees and big rocks and things in. Those deep areas where the fish were in 20 to 25. Houston. We need to pull those up. Pull those up. But I think we should have a meeting with business. Community. Talk about it, leave it in there as a talking point.
And we're talking deciding next year potentially.
But we need to decide, yeah, we'll be meeting to decide next year or push it back.
Push it
a
up.
year
And
And we continue to
then.
talk. The more we push it off, the more it'll cost.
Especially to the hotel.
And that's the other thing is we need to make sure it's ironic. I've mentioned it to James several times, that before they do anything, you know, start making plans, if they were to get an investment, they would have. We need to know. If we don't want a hotel
Condos.
or those
Along
condos.
along the line, yeah. I don't think they want to
Some
see it.
abatements, right? Okay, so we'll leave it in there. We took out the, we took out the, community center meeting house. We had two, projects, which were the pavilion restrooms, trail constructions. We zeroed those out last year and put in the $1 million for community center meeting house. Just as a concept, there's no set plan to that or anything. But it was so that we could have a conversation about what we need to do.
This is the place that will be the new home of the rec department.
Well, that's the intent. But again, there's no, we don't have it located anywhere. And
So it's good to
It's
have
a
it on
place
the CIP. Yeah. Another big ticket item, the road repair.
road repairs, we have $180,000 estimate from HEB Engineering to do the engineering for Boulder Path Road to the tennis center,
The Snows Mountain
Oh,
or
and
to
then-
West Branch.
all the way up to West
West
Branch,
Branch,
and then to go up Snowsbrook Road.
all the way to
to the-
the tippy top. Just Snow, what about Greeley or? What's the other
We
one?
did not,
Jasinski?
we did include Jasinski, not
Right,
Greeley.
because we didn't.
Because Greeley, we just paid a couple of years ago.
It's 180K for this year, well, the budget would be
It would
talking
be
about
in, it would be in
2023.
23
for the engineering.
for the engineering, and then 24. And I don't know what that process will be. The other way to do it is to just get a paving contractor and not do all kinds of engineering drainage, to just bring a paving contractor in, have a set amount of money and say, okay, we want to do a section of roads and basically do a repave and repave. Then Jim can decide if he wants to replace it over.
The 180 isn't in.
Right,
Is
180
is not in the CIP.
And-
But the
and-
$1 million at FY 24 is the.
And keep in the back of your minds too, that if we do decide to rebuild, if you will, Snow's Mountain Road, you know, the water line. That has multiple breaks with temporary repairs.
Scare quotes around temporary.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, and we're not the only town that does that, because you put a Band-Aid on something and you cover it over, you forget about it, right? But the proper way to fix those is once you got the Band-Aid on, you go back in, you redig it, you cut out the damaged sections of pipe and you put new pipe in. So,
What if we give Snow Mountain from the water line, but not hold it up?
Both of that was kind of,
That is, I mean, that's,
that's, you know,
it's got some rough spots. Lost pass.
well, Cascade Ridge is.
You're right. I'm surprised the new houses went up there.
Another one.
Yeah. Looked out my window and saw the excavator going yesterday. Relocating the.
Oh, that's what I was.
Trail.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Would that make much of a difference in the engineering cost? If we just did Snow Mountain, is that what you're saying? You get Boulder back?
I think. Or just Snow Mountain and Jasinski and the water.
And the water, and what if we did Boulder?
Well, yeah.
yeah, get a lot of drain.
Or-
All the drainage on Boulder Path is, you know, it's catch basins with long runs of
Yeah.
old metal.
That's what bad in some areas.
with the water.
That should be repaired, that should be replaced.
And then the flip side is that what Boulder Path does is it completes your bike pedestrian path.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. It is a key part of the tourist experience here in Waterloo Valley.
You know, the whole road budget was something like $8 million, like, all we have in here is $1 million or something.
And
Yeah.
we only have a million, we have 1,000,008 out, so that's 2.8, so we're not even, we're just a third of the way there. I mean, we can make the commitment to getting a lot of this stuff done before the before the treatment plant hits. And we can put 2 million in a year for the next couple of years, it's going to be an impact on the tax rate. But it gets towards the 8 million total,
And that's what we often get a lot of complaints about.
because we do need to address Cascade Ridge, Snows Mountain. And Moose Run.
No, we had that whole study done to show us what needed to be done.
So 23 to work, that's already budgeted.
Well, the 23, that's already done.
Yeah, that's a delayed work.
What we should do, I think, in 23 is put enough engineering. In
We're talking
to be able
the
to
24.
do 24 and potentially into 25.
Right, the way these things have been going.
We're looking to do $1 million a year starting in 24.
I think one of our earlier iterations of all that, the CIP was something like that, wasn't it? Remember we had that big discussion with, I forget who it was, like, let me just get the money all at once. Was that Barry, was that, I forget who it was.
Yeah, I think
Oh, Al. It was
Al.
Al, right.
so $1 million a year for 4 years, put $250,000 in for the engineering, and we can put for rebuilding as well, so that if we don't use it all for engineering, we've got it available for.
And what are we looking at for engineering this year? 180, 200,
I
250?
put 250 in it, and then.
Because you're gonna add to
You're gonna add the one.
I'll recuse myself from that discussion.
Okay,
No, I don't want to see one.
anyway, so, okay,
What happened to all of those other little things that were gonna get done so that the roads that are in fairly good shape got fixed? So that they would last a little
we ended up using those monies for the overage on our.
damage.
So the Golden Heights Road, the other small improvements. That all
But that is,
sucked up
yeah.
into the overage. And, yeah,
Wasn't Piper supposed to start doing some
Yeah.
stuff this
And
morning?
culverts,
we did- no, they're coming in the spring.
So what's that, $1.8 million? Is that how much we got?
But that
Right
project,
now,
that project,
$1.9 million.
With existing,
that will be the road project next year.
Yeah.
That's why there's nothing
that's right.
in FY 2023 year one.
We'll just make it one project. Not have to deal with one. And then
Well, we usually get the most complaints, like, I guess not the most complaints, but we get a lot of complaints about the road commission.
okay, so. Okay,
You know, why the big ticket,
oh, yeah, it's.
10,000 here, 20,000 here. Well, aside from the,
I think-
yeah,
With, I just wanted to mention in Parks and Rec. I think we can take out at least 2 of those 15,000 under gazebo repairs
Oh, yeah,
and maybe leave one in, for shed repairs,
which
know.
year, we'll leave it in 27.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then the 100,000 for Packard's Field repairs. I think we should perhaps, since we have a plan for maintenance going forward, we should perhaps move that a little bit later. And it could be for playground. Money,
Well, we'll take it out for right now.
okay, yeah, take it out now, because it will be further down.
And we'll put it back in as a new project.
But the 30,000 should stay in for a dock replacement.
Yeah, well, you got 25 this year and 30 for.
Yeah, so
25.
25 will be for boat replacements,
Okay.
and the 30 will be for a dock replacement.
Didn't Craig want to donate the gazebo to the town?
Yes.
He's gonna move it.
But he wants to move it.
He's gonna move it, but we're gonna pick up on any repairs and maintenance.
Possibly.
Okay, that's not.
Is that gonna be a?
It's gonna be over by the golf course.
Oh, that's the one that's on the golf course.
Well,
No.
through the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along.
Along Boulder Path.
One that's out in the middle of.
Of the golf
Yeah.
course.
It's just moving it over. Boulder Path.
Okay,
Probably near where the path is, the little maintenance, his little maintenance tank.
So we got 37 million.
The winner.
Yeah.
Bill Stampy.
Who has 37 million?
Well, the 37 million is just the 42 million minus the 5 we've already had out. So. All right.
Before we get into that, though,
Yeah.
we should probably move the wastewater collection system repairs further up, so that way it's not after that capital expenditure hits the tax rate.
150.
Yeah, we should try to move that up if we can.
The wastewater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because right now it's in
28, I see.
Yeah,
I don't
Do you
know,
need to do it like in
but just keep in mind,
24, 25, or do you want to do it?
just keep in mind, that's part of our permit now, is
Yeah, it
FEMA,
is.
so I don't,
Would you rather do it sooner rather
Yeah,
than later?
24 would be wise.
If you want to do 24, then we'll do that.
Right.
What is that?
The 150 is for pipe collection system replacements. The new pipe, new manholes.
it could be just for slip lining or
Right.
relining old pieces of pipe that are in bad condition.
Just all around town.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is required by the.
Required by a new permit.
and you'll have to, the tough thing is, as long as we put the year out, we're gonna have to get some pricing on. Because what's gonna happen is, with our CMOM aspect of the permit, the EPA will require us to do X amount of maintenance and inspection of the line annually, and that can be an operational expense. But if we find any large issues, then we need to be able to repair it. Because we need, if we submit a report to the EPA saying, here's all these issues, and they say, well, what are you doing to fix them? We need to have an answer.
I think we should put 100,000 every couple of years for those major. We don't have to take it in the out years because we can keep it in a reserve
Right,
account. Say we raise the 150 in 24 and then 126. And we only use half of it,
right.
we could then cut out the 28 requests
Okay.
or push it back a year.
It's, this is just straight ignorance, not doing this long enough, but could that be a contingency plan that would encompass anything that goes wrong, or to be just for the, like wastewater?
Well, right now it would be just for them.
Because I'm just thinking, what happens if, God forbid, like a cruiser just. We need to replace one tomorrow,
Well, we have insurance.
right?
So the only reason that's gonna happen is some catastrophic.
Right, that's what I mean, so like, none of the cars have warranties on them anymore, so if we drop an engine tomorrow, no insurance is paying for that.
Well,
So I'm just curious how,
Like the trash truck?
there you go, that was a good one.
What do you think about bikes?
I don't mind, can I wear the shorts? Okay.
Between you and your wife.
no, but creation of, vehicle maintenance
Right.
reserve or something like that. It just costs money up front, but we don't have any reactionary money.
But I mean, like, say the heating system goes in this entire building.
We don't have any.
I thought we had a number of different reserve
building reserve funds.
accounts.
No,
Do we ever use them all?
we have used them all.
Do we need to rebuild them?
Yes, I think we do, but how, we could just make, we can word the warrant article however we want. And we can create one out of one. That rather than have 7 or 8 reserves, like instead of having a vehicle and a building and a, you can word the warrant article so.
Yeah, but it's a
we have
matter of,
more flexibility.
yeah, I mean, the issue there has always been, you know, do we chance losing the whole article because of the tag, or someone objects to some of the things in it?
Well,
If we broken it up into bits and pieces, or do we just, but it gives us the most flexibility just to have one reserve.
Don't we have the leftover money that accumulates year after year that we're gonna spend in the budget?
But we have fund balance.
Fund balance.
Where that's the whole thing about 50 years. Right now, because we used 300,000. This past year.
That's what.
And we want to keep it between 12. Weeks, and we're down to. We're down. to 9, well, no, 9.9. 9.4. So, it's somewhere around at the end of the year, this year, given the way we're spending, we're probably gonna be around 750,000, and we've been running between 970 and 825. So,
We decided not to use any for the.
and we decided not to use any of the tax rates. Yeah. So that's our cash flow money, and that's our kind of our emergency. Like if we lost a cruiser and we had absolutely no money, we could call DRA and say, we need to buy a cruiser. And we need to take it out of fund. And then they would probably make us put a warrant on it. The next
Third place.
30 days. But they can give us emergency authorization. If
Would another option, Mark, just to elevate the contingency?
we can do that. If you want to say keep the contingency at 150. That would be another way to do it, because anything that's left over in the operating fund at the end of the year goes to this fund balance, and then you can use it next year.
The 150 was a special thing that we did.
Well, we
this
did,
past year.
right, we added that 100,000
Yeah.
because of inflation.
Like,
Well, we haven't changed that $50,000 number for 5-6 years,
mhm.
so
Given inflation.
given inflation, we're sure.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, I think it's just so expensive and hard to get now, but. Big ticket.
I mean, I'd be comfortable doing it through the fund balance. I mean, through the contingency. And then having that lapse the fund balance, whatever lapses we can put in the next year. So that we're just using the certain
Contingency, there goes in the fund.
and then it goes into fund balance, but then we can use fund balance to plus up the contingency. So you're just. Or to reduce.
Right.
Money.
We don't need any
We don't
permission
need
to do that.
Right, no, we don't need, we can just do it as part of the property.
Is there any rationale to put money aside for the, treatment plant?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. We've got a couple of concerns, right? I mean, I think it's gonna be the discussion on the 16th is gonna tell us how we want to approach it. But we may need to do two things. We could take some of that 37 million and borrow if we want it. Okay. And, or put it away as cash, so every dollar on the tax rate raises $495,000. You could say $1 or $2 gets added to the tax rate to go into an account.
Which would that preclude you from getting the 20% forgiveness?
If we borrowed it as a bond issue, yes. If we created a capital reserve, I
For the
don't,
use of.
I don't know, but I don't think.
You wouldn't want to be doing this at 20%.
That's right. We don't, but I think if we're creating our own capital reserve for debt service down the road. We can probably do that.
Worth looking at.
Sure, I think we should find out.
Oh, yes. Right, so we'll examine that.
Mm.
But if we had to extend,
60 cents on $1,000, so.
my other big concern that I've told the department heads as well is this 37 million is all going to hit the tax rate for 42 if we spend that much. Would all hit in 1 year. I mean, when we start repaying, the debt service is on 100% what we thought. And so you are talking about $1 million, between $1 million and $2 million for the principal, and then whatever the interest is. And when we did the amortization schedule, Steve almost quit, because that's another million each year. So you're talking $3 million, that's $60.
When is the?
Yeah, fortunately.
Well, that's taking into account the 20%. So that's if we just have to borrow 27 or 30 million.
But wasn't that 35% actually, right?
And it's actually 35%
Yeah.
because there's loan forgiveness in there as well. It's still a huge number. So that's why we told you that on the 16th, if they tell us that it's that big number, we need to. So think about it.
Okay, anything? Further we need to discuss on the CIP at this point? We had a couple concerns, you said.
Well, the other thing you could do, I suppose, is prior to 2027. Start paying off some of the long-term debt we have. Or buying things in cash. So that we make room in our debt schedule to accommodate the.
Like by the fire truck.
Right.
Which that would be dealing with under $1 on the tax rate. Say it comes in at $4.50, say $1 on the tax rate. Boom, that's done, it's paid for, we don't have to.
So then when the 37 million get,
Mhm,
we freed up some
exactly,
capacity.
because if you buy a new fire truck in 2026, 2025, 25 and
Well,
26.
24, 25, that's-
Yeah, but if you do it then, you're gonna get most of the way through your debt service for the treatment plant before you need it. That could be the other way and do the same thing with any of our vehicles. We try to,
Well, we've been talking
Sure.
about this. In terms, given that the cost of borrowing now, and
right, and the cost of borrowing is double the,
just pay for it straight up.
One of the issues that may arise, depending on what happens after the 16th. Looking at how much longer this project could take. Because if we get into it and we literally can't figure out a cost-effective way to build this, we may have to go back to the EPA and beg for an extension. On the grounds of trying to find a method that can meet our new permit. If we look at an additional 2 to 3 years that facility has to operate, there's gonna be some serious money that has to go into that place.
like a million.
Throw money away.
Well, we want to have a choice though,
We won't have a
Yeah, no,
choice
I
if we have.
because when we looked at this back in 2020, and the engineers did that estimate, that was, I mean, that $5 million that was appropriated, that wasn't just $1.5 million of that was to keep the facility going.
Right, I remember that we wanted.
So- And looking at what we have now. I mean, there's a lot of things that are ticking time bombs that we have no means or I mean, we have means to replace them with that money,
Don't
but.
depend on Dylan to come with the steering
Well,
wheel.
I'm just, we have to be prepared, you know,
Well,
it's,
I want you to give us the news.
Well,
Right.
5 million off. So if we needed.
Yep.
To use another $1 million,
For current,
that what we would be giving up
Yeah.
would be giving up the grant and loan forgiveness on that money, right? But we could, tomorrow, you could decide to go out and get a bond for up to another $4 million if we had an emergency that had to. do this. So you've already got that on.
right, from
From
the
the
last,
town.
the town. Yeah.
I mean, we want to keep as much.
Right.
No, we can't because we've signed the clean water.
yes, sir.
So we need to.
Yeah.
It would come out of this 37.
How far do you want to go down this rabbit hole?
Well. No, it's.
No, I'm not saying because of that,
I
I'm
think
just saying,
waiting until the 16th and seeing.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
I think that's the most.
because they're
Just too many
maybe
questions.
Too many
going to
unknowns.
EPA and asking for extensions, not the way.
well, I agree. However, there may be. Depending on what the number is, there may be a couple of things that we can do, and until we get that, it may not be worthwhile to discuss it anyway, but.
Yep.
um,
I agree. But it's on the radar, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Anything else that we did not talk about that you guys want to put in?
So if I don't leave, my
No,
kids are
problem.
gonna get kicked out of the
No
daycare.
problem. Fine.
Actually setting up some.
It's the street now. See it.
Okay, are you satisfied that we covered, is there anything that you were expecting that we didn't talk about?
Well, you also have here, on here, other budgetary impacts, the school fire alarm and space needs.
Well, that's for your conversation next week. with the
Right,
school. I think that's one of the main.
Yes,
reasons
they wanted
they
to
wanted
talk to us, and they wanted to know what we were facing, if they have, see if we can afford it, who's spending what when.
The election, the election rule had to change.
Yeah, that's a topic I think we need to address at our next regular meeting. In terms of having a place, I mean, have a contract with somebody to make sure we have, that's our fundamental duty is to have that. And we can't be dependent on the largesse of, private company, as good as that's been. We should make sure that we contracted with a place to date time certain. The whole election, so it doesn't get a week out.
March will be the election.
Yes, and that'll involve the town meeting too.
Was the transfer room that we're using, is that large?
It doesn't have the in the space.
I got the two doors, but you'd have to come in one side. I don't know if you'd have enough room. I don't think you'd have enough room with all
We need
You
to
know-
accommodate the school board's concerns, but usually gymnasium. Maybe it's extra police, maybe it's the kids out of school off that day, or.
that will be the simple.
Well, it's open day.
Simple solution in my view.
I think that's. Try to work around the safety issue for the kids and figure out a way to keep the kids safe.
All right, a few minutes with Stephen on personal. You guys all set?
It's my turn.
That's a great idea.
Huh?
That's a great idea.
Okay, we'll talk about it. You got that look.
It's a really good one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
There you go. Thank you, Sharon.
Meeting house would give us plenty of space now.
Hey, do you want me to tell you my idea? So what it is? We built a new municipal center for town office and fire and DPS on Packard. This becomes the rec department, and I put pickleball courts in the bay, and then up by the lagoons becomes a new field. That's an idea. Just rearranging. Yeah. That would solve some problems and utilize existing space. So, that's what we do now.
Solar.
Stop. Yes, again.
Do you want me to stay here with this, or should I exit? I mean, I don't wanna.
The what?
Do you want me to stay for this last part, or
No, I think we can go, we're gonna go in the.
you're gonna go down? That's what I mean. It's it.
Talk about it.
Okay. We'll wait till Rich comes back so you can do the motion to.
Yeah.
And such.
Yes, could I have a motion to go into non-public session? Employee review, sir. All in favor? Let us know. If you ready to